Greetings, R. Frederick Riddle here with another episode of Christian News and Views. This is episode 26, 111. And this is Monday, and the topic today is Deal to End the War. You've all heard about it by now, but I'm going to address this issue. So, according to the article, I'm going to quote, and it goes like this: President Donald Trump's announcement that the United States and Iran had reached a deal to end the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz was met on Monday with a mix of praise and skepticism after months of false promises that peace was imminent. In the Middle East, where economies have been badly battered and many nations experienced terrifying barrages of drone and missile strikes, reactions were muted on Monday, with analysts and residents expressing cautious hope, but also concern that the deal could unravel. The U.S. and Iran are scheduled to sign a limited agreement on Friday. The precise terms remain unclear, and significant areas of disagreement remain, including in regard to Iran's nuclear program and the economic sanctions potentially to be lifted. Mohammed Baharoun, a director general of Bahuth Dubai Research Center, compared the deal to a pre-workout workout. Everyone is hopeful. It's an opening, Baharoun said, but this is the first step. He said that the involvement of Pakistan and Qatar in the agreement is a positive sign, but that ultimately the deal serves as another example of the ways in which Trump is flexing his power and taking credit for solving a crisis largely of his own making. Trump could have walked into the G7 summit as the leader who brought the world economy to the edge of collapse. Instead, he is marching in as the one who reopened the Strait of Hormuz, he said, referring to G7 leaders summit that Trump is scheduled to travel to on Monday. Some world leaders have heralded the moment as a potential turning point, with a statement by France, Britain, Germany, and Italy, four of the group of seven advanced economies, calling the agreement a diplomatic breakthrough and moment of opportunity to restore regional stability and stabilize the global economy. Trump repeatedly complained that European allies did not do enough to help with the war in Iran, but there was little incentive for them to do, given that Trump and his war are deeply unpopular. Independent analysts were less full-throated in their praise. The announcement constitutes a serious move toward an MOU agreement, which is not necessarily a full-fledged deal, said Dania Thafer, executive director of Gulf International Forum, a Washington think tank. It is a framework for achieving a deal, said Thayer, who splits her time between Doha and Washington. It is a serious step, but a lot can go wrong. Thafer added that there are no winners in this war. The U.S. did not achieve its objectives, while Iran achieved survival that did not change the regional order in its favor, she said. Opening the Strait of Hormuz is extremely urgent and important, but it was open before. In their statement, the European leaders urged the U.S. and Iran to move forward with negotiations to ensure this agreement is implemented rapidly and comprehensively. The urgent reopening of the Strait of Hormuz with unconditional and unrestricted freedom of navigation is essential, read the statement in which France, the UK, Germany, and Italy also pledged their support for the process. Meanwhile, China welcomes the agreement reached between the United States and Iran regarding details of the first phase memorandum of understanding. That's what MOU means. And appreciates Pakistan's mediation efforts. Chinese Foreign Minister spokesman Lin Hian said in a statement on Monday, China hopes that all relevant parties will remain committed to the path of peace and resolve issues through dialogue and negotiation. China stands ready to work with the international community and continue to play a constructive role in restoring peace and stability in the Gulf region of the Middle East at an early date. At a shopping mall in Dubai, Hadi Zatoun, 30, who is from Syria, shrugged and smiled when asked about the announcement. Business across Dubai has been slow, Zatoun said, and everyone is ready for the war to be over. Finally, they are ending it. He said, as sitting at a sales kiosk with a colleague, fielding inquiries about apartment rentals and sales for a luxury property company. The whole region has had enough, more than enough, he said. But what isn't this? But what? Isn't this the third time they said they would end it? Amran Ali, 49, an Emirati, sitting with his friends in a coffee shop in a residential neighborhood in Dubai, said that no one knows whether or not the deal is real. Today they say it has ended, but in an hour it could start again, said Ali, an air traffic controller. Ali said that the terms of the deal and what the future holds for the Gulf region, which had long tried to avoid the war, but was nevertheless pummeled by missile and drone attacks by Iran, are unclear. But he said one thing is certain. In this war, he said, everyone has been a loser. So first of all, in my opinion, this has been slanted a bit by bias, anti-Trump bias. So you got to be careful when reading that kind of an article. But here's my opinion. While the prospects of the war ending are positive and the need for caution imperative, it is important to have cautious optimism, not negativism. To focus on the negatives might be non-productive. I think there has been some trust based, there has to be some trust based on the ability to verify. It's sort of like my advice for using AI, trust and verify. However, this deal does sound positive, but the real deal won't be realized until it's signed on Friday. Are there any winners, or are they right when they say they're all losers? Well, there are critics, and they're the ones that their opinion is one is kind of somewhat featured here in this article. They don't say it in the article, but there's been other statements where these critics have claimed the world was never in danger of a nuclear attack. Iran wasn't close to it. However, at the same time they're saying that, there has been credible sources claiming that Iran was within days of launching a devastating nuclear attack on America. So the critics' panning of such an imminent threat without offering what I would call credible evidence points to at least a partial win for the Trump administration. The evidence that has been offered is far more believable than the conjectures of the critics. So I think Trump has the right to claim success. The attack was stopped in its tracks. And I would add that everything I've read seems to lean very heavily in the fact that there was an imminent attack, the counterattack, if you will, of the United States and Israel upon Iran stopped it in its tracks. While Iran has been able to maintain control of the straits, it has done so by sacrificing its military. It hardly has any. It's got the Revolutionary Guard, and that's their primary. They're the ones that seem to be in control. But their overall military, the army, has been decimated. Their navy has been decimated. Most of it's at the bottom of the sea there, of the Gulf. Infrastructure largely destroyed. Its economy is in shambles. They gambled, folks, and they lost. Of course, they deny it. These are religious zealots who will do what they are going to do at whatever cost it takes, because they believe that the destruction of anybody who doesn't believe as they believe, their death is justified. They are extremists, and they will, like I said, do whatever they can. Killing other people is one of them. But they are still, now, if they are still allowed to have nuclear ability, then it won't be a long-term peace agreement. It will give the world some peace for a short time, but eventually Iran will restore its nuclear power. The history of Iran and its nuclear power and has been marked by constant over the years, decades really, of inspections that were never allowed to see the real story, and the United Nations had inspections going on. They were apparently not very thorough. They were not. They were restricted in what they could see and they couldn't. They were unable to really put their finger on the pulse of what was going on, and that helped contribute to this more recent war. You got to remember, this war didn't start with Trump. It started 47 years ago. Well, actually, now you're getting into 48 years. This deal should reveal where the real power lies within Iran. Does it lie with the politicians or with the Revolutionary Guard? So at this point in time, there are too many questions to declare absolute winners and losers. But I do think we can lean to the Trump administration as winners. They stopped an imminent threat, weakened a terrorist nation, bringing it to its knees, and offered the world an alternative to the Straits. Now, that last point is one that isn't addressed by the media, at least in anywhere degree of similarity to the other areas that they've investigated. And that's probably because they don't like President Trump, and they would have to give him some credit if they did. But America under Trump has shown itself in the past, and I dare say in the present, that it has the ability to provide alternatives to the Straits of Hormuz. America itself is now an exporter of oil products. That was not true before Trump. He gave us that ability when his first administration. Biden took it away. Now he's giving it back to us. And the result is going to be long term, our prices on gas are going to go down. And I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but even with this war, the war will cause the price to jump. But it has a tendency to drop down again. And then it'll jump. And then it'll drop down again. And each time it drops down, it's almost like it drops down it goes into a lower range. Then it jumps back up again, and then it goes back. Under Biden, it was also jumping, but it was higher and higher and higher. It got up pretty high there at one point. And during the first administration, Trump actually put us in the plus. We became an exporter of energy, a leader in the exporting of energy. So that's a plus. On top of it, there's another plus. Many nations have already begun their own alternative plans. Long term, I believe that Iran is going to be the biggest loser because they might end up in control of a strait that no longer has the ability to fuel their economy. And if that takes place, then Iran is, like I said, going to be a big loser. And who knows what could happen there in the future. Unfortunately, the people were not able to rise up and take their government back. The Revolutionary Guard is very, very brutal. And anybody who showed even a slight interest in trying to restore and trying to bring back some kind of a reasonable government, many of them have been arrested and some slain. And so the guard is it's brutal, and it's going to be hard to dislodge them. But in my opinion, this has been a war, and 47 years in the making. Like I said, almost 48 now, in which Iran had its way for a long time. Trump finally said enough is enough, and he went in, and along with Israel, has brought it to its current situation. Now, how this impacts the war between Israel and Lebanon is also a questionable thing going on here. So we don't know. A lot of things we don't know, and we're going to have to wait and just watch and see how things develop. There's got to have to be a way in which Iran's leaders can go back and tell its sponsors, we won, even if they've lost. They got to be able to say that to save face. If they can't save face, they will just continue to fight. And I think I mentioned it before when playing chess. I was not a great chess player, and I once I realized I was going to lose, I took as many of my opponents' players as I could. It's it's stupid. It doesn't change the outcome. That's how I played the game, and that's how Iran has been playing this game. It's a brutal. It's not really a game for them. It is war. A war they started 47, almost 48 years ago, and now they're paying the cost. And what's going to happen in the future after this? Let's say the agreement is put in place. Maybe it even lasts throughout Trump's administration. The next administration, whoever is in power here in the United States, is going to have a say on how it plays out. Either we return to the days of Biden, and would be disastrous, or we move forward with using Trump's platform, if you will, to go forward, or something else. It could be a different somewhere in between. So we have no way of knowing how that's going to work out either. So there's too many ifs. We just have to wait. And we Americans, human beings in general, don't wait very well. And so we have to wait at least until Friday to find out what's going to happen. And so I would advise you to wait before making a final understanding of this. I do think that if there is an agreement, already the markets are responding to that. And so that's a case of where if the agreement comes in and it holds, you're going to see the economy return rather quickly. It wants to. But Iran's intransigence has a way of rippling stirring the water, so to speak, and causing upheavals in the marketplace. But if there's some calmness comes, some peace, even a relative peace, then you will see the economy, which is, by the way, they just reported the economy is doing much better than the critics thought it was going to do, in spite of the war. And so all the efforts, all the energy of our economy wants to pull the prices down and enable Americans to enjoy the American economy and put all this in the past. It's sort of like COVID. It hurt for a while, but then once the COVID was over, the economy sprang back. And I think that same thing is going to happen with this war. Now, when it sprang back, Biden put clamps on it. It could have been much better than it did. But he couldn't stand prosperity, so he put his clamps on it. Well, Trump wants America to be prosperous, and so when it springs back, he will do everything he can to keep that going and going strong. Like I said, it depends on who takes his place after he's out of office. Well, I hope this has been informative. I always try to inform you, encourage you, and inspire you. And so I hopefully I've done at least one of those things. This episode and this whole podcast every week is sponsored by T&R Independent Books, a Christian indie publisher. If you are a Christian and you believe that you've been called to write, you want to be a published author, but you don't really know all that needs to be known about writing, well, we offer a writing course. And all you have to do, it doesn't cost you any money to apply, to find out more about it. And if you apply and you get approved, you will get the opportunity then to sign up to actually purchase the course, and you will get a coupon of significant value to lower that cost. On the other hand, perhaps you already know how to write. We have Ministry Publishing, and it's aimed at you. Again, we want to be your publisher. And if you get approved, you apply, If you get approved, we send you the links and again, that coupon of significant value. And then your career can actually begin. You have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode.